So I feel like for the month of October, um, the sense of duty, the sense of doing what you are entrusted to do, what is expected of you, what is professionally expected of you, what is socially expected of you. And a lot of the times you feel like you just want to, break away. You want to break out of the situation, and you might tell yourself, why am I here? Weighing out the pros and cons, okay? Two of Pentacles, weighing out the pros and cons. Like, why am I still doing this? Is it still bringing me, that sense of dissatisfaction, or am I satisfied with the work that I'm doing? Are there greener pastures out there? Are there other jobs? Is there more meaning to the work that I do? So I feel like there's a sense of obligation. There's a heavy, I almost feel like a sense of duty, that you are bound to a specific situation, bound to a job, bound to a partner, bound to a household. So I feel like, you're going through the motions, and you're starting to question as well, is there more to it than this? And I feel like, frankly, some of you are dreaming for the fantastical, dreaming of like being able to break away, dreaming for like yearning for something else out there, something to bring a little bit more excitement. Okay. As you can see, this is the Fool. He's heading towards the volcano. He wants a little bit more fun. He wants to connect as well. Moving from this Fool into the Three of Cups. I'm sorry, I'm like misreading the cards, mainly because it's really late and I'm a little bit tired and blurry eyed. So this is sort of like, moving to make connections with the community of people. So I do feel a sense of like, being a little bit isolationist, being a little bit secluded. And some of you might have, like, for example, thrust yourself into a new environment. And you're starting to feel like, you know what? I need to make a change. I need to go out and meet new people. I need to start making friends. I need to start forming, do more community service, or like engage more with the people around me, so that I can form new friendships. I can form relationships. I can rejoin the community of people, and I can really put myself out there. So this indicates to me, for those who are single, especially, getting out there to date, networking, connecting with your peers, doing community service, attending seminars, and just somehow re-embedding yourself in the community of people. And I'm also sensing as well, like, you're doing this in a way where you feel like having alone time is really good for me, but it's better for my emotional and mental well-being to be around other people. As an air sign, we all need to communicate. We all need to exchange ideas. And it's not good for an air sign to keep themselves isolated for so long, because the thoughts run away with you, okay? Like, run away from you. And I also feel like the sense of reality can often get distorted when we are like too much on our own and we don't have another person to bounce ideas off of. So air signs constantly need that communication. You need to, and especially a dual sign such as yourself, you're better off with people. And I feel like you're starting to feel that tinge, maybe like, of like loneliness, or a situation where you're not completely satisfied with, and you feel like you need to make a change. You need to get out there and you need to like reconnect with a community of people. I also feel like, going along with the first message, there's a situation here where you're very much bound by your duty and your obligation. But I feel like mentally you understand the importance of what you're doing. You understand that you were chosen for this position. You understand that, all the different paths and all the different choices that you have made in your past leads you to this common destiny. Okay, the Six of Cups. This is like looking over at all the previous decisions that we've made. It brought us here. This is like destiny. This is where we're meant to be. And mentally, you understand, sort of like that person was chosen because he's diligent, and as a lighthouse keeper, he's averting a lot of crises that could happen in the harbor. And so mentally you understand that you're entrusted with big responsibilities. But then I feel like emotionally, I just feel like you're in a situation where you're not really 100% satisfied anymore. And I honestly feel like for some of you, this could be a moral obligation that you have to another person, where you took on a task, you took on a responsibility, you took on a vow. It could be like a relationship, you know, where there is marriage, there is like till death do us part. And I don't feel like it was made hastily. I feel like it was well thought out. And you've chosen kind of like the best person that you feel would go the distance with you, you know. This vow was made in a very serious way. And it basically indicates, you know, from now until eternity, until death do us part, until, you know, something happens to one of us. So this is like a moral obligation. This is a duty to ride things out, like to get through all the tough times. This is not something that you can make lightly. This wasn't a decision made out of infatuation. It was a sense of duty, and it was also a situation where at the time, and I'm honestly feeling like the culmination of all the choices that you've made in your past led you to this moment. And so in a way you felt like it was a little bit like destiny. And then I also feel as well that you want a little bit more. You want a little bit more out of life, and you want to know what else there is out there. You want a little bit more excitement. You want a little bit more connections, and you feel like there's something else that is meant for you. And I almost feel like there's a situation here that once upon a time it was enough, you know, it was like satisfying, it was enough. And in the present moment, what else is new? And I got this card for Virgo too, so you have strong Virgo in your chart. This might reading might also resonate with you, especially if you have like Virgo sun, moon, or rising, or even like a Virgo Venus sign, or even the North Node, okay? What I'm seeing here is you're at this space of tremendous abundance, okay? There's a lot of safety, there's home, family, children, responsibilities even. And we have this new path that's opened up. And like I told the Virgo people, you have been sitting here waiting for a really long time for this gate to open, for this new path to make itself known, for a new way of doing, for a new drastic change in your life to unfold. And with this gate, okay, this gate has been locked for some time. And you know, when it comes to like these really old gates, when you open them, they squeak, okay? Like they make the announcement of their opening very known, because it's rusty, it squeaks, it's going to make noise, it's going to clatter, it's going to click and clack. And so there is definitely something that has opened up, has shown itself. And I feel like it has shown itself in a very forceful way to tell you that you're no longer stuck here. There's a new path opening up for you. Are you willing to take this path, knowing that the majority of the way is going to be uphill? This is not going to be a walk in the park. You're walking uphill. You're walking on an incline. And eventually it's going to level out. And once you overcome that steep learning curve, it's going to level out. And there might be, you know, a few peaks and valleys along the way where you can kind of run downhill and then peak up again. But I feel like it has made itself known. This new path, this new opportunity that is very big has been shown to you. And so whatever it is, if there's like a sense of dissatisfaction overall that you're thinking about, and you feel like something is not really emotionally, it has run its course, or emotionally you're drawn to something else, you definitely have the sign, the signal from the universe for you to go into it, okay? Because I feel like it has made itself known, and it is up to you to now finally choose. I do feel there's a sense of familiarity and comfort associated with where you are right now. And the next step, you know, is going to be a major drastic change that you have to take. And there's a big part about you, about mulling things over, Um, it's like laying out all the pros and cons between staying or taking on that new journey. And then I also feel like there's a lot of fear as well. Okay. I keep seeing this volcano imagery right here. And I feel like, this person might be walking into it. So it's exciting. It's new. It's very enticing. But at the same time, we as an air sign, we like to plan. We like to control things. We like to think about all the possible outcomes before we make a decision. And I feel like that's exactly what you are doing here. Okay. You have all of these choices that are laid out ahead of you. And I do sense for some of you, it is only like two choices: do the same thing or break free and take a different path. And then when you have these two choices, you constantly replay them in your head, constantly think about what are the possible outcomes? What are all the possible scenarios I'm going to encounter? So it starts out as two choices. And then it just spiral out of control, and it becomes this multiplied effect where it's not just about two choices. It's about all the different things that you have to factor into this decision-making process. And so it can feel very overwhelming. Okay. And, one thing that I do see for many of you, this is like having a relationship with, I do see it in this spread. We have the Lovers card, choices when it comes to lovers, when it comes to relationships. We have the Justice card when it comes to contracts, obligations, making I'm seeing signing something, and then I'm seeing signing mortgages, signing a vow, signing some type of a contract where you're obligated to do something for a specific amount of time, and then wanting to break the contract. Okay, so I do see here one scenario that I sense is there might be a job that's very mundane. You understand that you're chosen for the job and it is very important, kind of like with that lighthouse keeper. But it's no longer emotionally fulfilling for you. You, as an air sign, you need to be mentally stimulated. You need to be mentally challenged. So if you're going through the motions as the lighthouse keeper, day in and day out, you have that routine. You wake up, you shine those lights, you avert crises, and then you go to sleep, and then the next day it repeats. It's not stimulating, intellectually stimulating enough for you. It's not exciting enough for you. And I do sense for many of you, I'm seeing here a lot of people who might be into who might have been actors, who might have been models, who might have been painters, who might have been into the arts and music. With this Empress card, this is about beauty. This is about creativity. Okay. You might have taken a hiatus, 2 years off, 3 years off. You might have had children. You might have had to raise them. And you're just I'm ready to get back into the working environment. I'm ready to, start my next gig. I'm ready to take on that next big role. I'm ready to go back to work. So I'm seeing that for some of you, certain scenarios. I'm also feeling as well, there is a relationship here where there is an obligation, but you might not feel like you might not feel like the love is there with that person anymore, and you're ready to, embark on a new relationship. Okay. I don't see it as a temptation. I don't see it as a situation where you're being lured away from, the one that you love. I just feel like a relationship or a situation has run its course. And then I'm also seeing a situation where you and another person are financially linked up together. So for example, you might own a duplex, you might own a condo, you might own property, even though you're not married. You might have some financial entanglements, and it's really hard to extract yourself because the other party depends on you. Okay. I'm also feeling some people, you might have children together, even though you're not married. but like there is some type of a relationship, like a common law type of a situation where you're living together, you have children, but legally, contractually, you're not married. And so it's easier. I feel like it's easier to walk away, but there's a sense of obligation here as well, where you're not able to make this decision easily. Okay. I have a lot of cards here about mulling over, going with one decision that makes sense, but the other decision gives you a lot more of an emotional pull. And then I also feel like, you're playing out the fantasies in your head. You're playing out all of these fantasies, all of these scenarios, and wondering what your life could be. So I don't see like, you acting on it. I just see you mulling things over and feeling like, I need to, do this. I need to make this change. And once I make this change, it's going to be so much better. So that's all the messages that came bundled in that first snow globe. Okay. So I feel like the reading is kind of split like this. And for some of you, you might only be dealing with this situation. For others of you, you might only be dealing with this situation. Okay, so the next snow globe. So we zoom into the lighthouse and then we kind of zoom out and the snow is falling in that first snow globe. And then we transition to the second snow globe. And it's a very cartoony, very cartoony image here. I'm almost getting like a Tom and Jerry, that cartoon with the cat, the mouse. Energy. Okay, so I feel like they don't speak much in that cartoon, so it's just noise. It's just like it's like almost like a silent film. So it's a silent cartoon, and what I'm seeing is I see a little dog house, and I see like a big dog that's chained up inside the dog house. So basically, he's an outdoor dog. He's got a plate of food with like a bone in it, right? And he's out there with a chain around his neck. And so basically he's guarding the house. Okay. He's guarding the house from thieves. He's guarding the house from delinquents. He's just, a guard dog. He's buff and muscular, sort of like that dog in Tom and Jerry for those who have watched it. And I feel like, the dog looks very sweet and he looks a little bit like sad. Okay. So he might have grown up, his whole life was just, duty and obligation. I have a duty to protect this house. And the thing about dogs is that they're very loyal. They're very loyal. And, they do what they're told. They're very, very, very eager to please, right? To please their master, to please whoever is feeding them, to please whoever is around them. And so you have this sense of like, wanting to please, wanting approval. It's like you sit wherever you're put. Okay. Like you are, when you're entrusted with a duty, you do it to the best of your capabilities. It's almost like, pre-programmed to do something, a pre-program with an affinity for something. So I feel like some of you are, like you have a lot of natural talents, and I feel like there might be things that you want to do emotionally. You're very, very drawn to it. But I feel like the way that you have lived your life, you've chosen a different path where it suppresses those things that you want to do. And then you walk the straight and narrow path. So for example, I have the Justice card here, and this is greatly about contract, law, legality. Okay, so I feel like for some of you, most of you guys would be amazing lawyers. Okay, so I feel like you might have artistic talents. Okay, and then parents, whoever told you along the way, growing up, oh, you're not going to make money as an artist, right? And you should pursue law school. You're so smart and you're so studious, and you're just going to be like your insights and your intuition and your ability to articulate your thoughts and your mind is just so sharp. You should be a lawyer. So you grew up, you went to law school, you became a lawyer, and you're just like, I wish I could draw again, And so I'm feeling here about, taking the path that is expected of you versus the path that brings you a lot of emotional satisfaction. Okay, so I feel like there's a sense here with this, this dog that's like made into a guard dog. We all know Libras are like the most diplomatic signs. You guys are not biters. You guys are not barker. You guys are very gentle, diplomatic. Your voice is like syrupy sweet, and you don't have a mean bone in your body. And yet, if you're made to be a guard dog, if you're made to, just walk the perimeter of the yard and not be able to explore and come and go as you please, and just, if you're thrust into a role and that's your world, it can feel very, very limiting. It can feel very depressing, pretty much. You're not living up to your capability. So I definitely feel a situation here where you really need to reassess. You have so much talent, so much potential. Don't get yourself pigeonholed into one path, because that's what's expected of you. Because growing up, people have told you, you're really good at this, you should do this. Like, I feel for many of you, it's time to experiment a little bit. Do a myriad of tasks and jobs to figure out what's a good fit for you, because I feel like you might be wanting to seek that approval. You might not want to, go against the tides. You might not want to, you might just, take the path of least resistance without exploring other options. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm not done with that image yet. So let me just get it out before I forget, because there's a point here and there's a connection between the two, as you can see already. The dog looks sad. Okay, he looks sad. He's I feel like he's not a mean dog. He just wants to be indoors with the warmth, being petted, having guarding over children, even getting getting to sleep in a warm bed, not having to deal with the outdoors and the elements, and not having to, constantly be so vigilant and amped up just in case there are robbers, there are thieves, or there are intruders in the yard. So I feel like there's a situation here where you're constantly in a work environment, or you're obligated to be really on high alert all the time. And that's really bad for our adrenal gland. That's just really bad for our cortisol level. Like, the cortisol level is spiking. And so you're just like, there's a better way to do this. There's a better job out there. There's a better situation for me to be in. I don't need to be in a situation where I'm constantly, under pressure. I'm constantly hyper vigilant, and I'm constantly under stress. Okay. And then I feel like for some of you, there might be a lot of stressors in your work environment, and you might be thinking about taking a sabbatical. Okay, so some of you could be high power executives. Some of you could be like lead attorneys. Some of you could be run your own law firm. Some of you could be, in a situation where you're competing with a lot of people in order to make partner. Some of you could be in like private practice, and like everything is dependent on you. And so there's a situation here where there's a push and pull here, tug of war. This is the Justice card, by the way. And with Libras, you guys are very, very much into balance. When one area of your life is not going well, the other areas can be thrown off. And you don't want to be in a space where you're competing, where you're stressed out, where you're comparing yourself with other people, or being compared to other people, where you're not able to find that inner peace. And so there's a situation here where it's like, I feel like it's wreaking havoc. Three of Swords is wreaking havoc on your own sense of emotional balance. I feel like you might be dealing with a person who's quite combative. This could be in your work environment, in the home, in a relationship. They could be a little bit combative. They could be like, competitive. They could be nitpicky. They can be, very harsh with their words. And so you might feel like you have to, walk around on eggshells, tiptoeing, not wanting to make too much noise, not wake up the beast, it's like tiptoeing. And I feel like it's just not a good space for you to be in, because it's not in alignment with your peace and balanced, loving nature. And so you realize that, there's something wrong here, and you realize that it's no longer bringing you that emotional satisfaction, you realize it's lacking in warmth and support. And so you might stay in a situation out of that sense of moral duty, but it's been very, very hard. It's been draining on you emotionally, and you're no longer emotionally invested in it. So we have some major decisions that we need to make here with this Lovers card. This is charting new territory, okay? Taking the path that is brand new. It might not be completely smooth. It's a little bit more turbulent, and there's a lot more, like a steep learning curve. There's a lot more to be explored. There's like a new territory waiting for you up ahead. And charting like it's like uncharted territory, or charting into the unknown, or wandering into the unknown, and understanding a situation might be laced with new adventure. All could be very exciting, but all could be very, I want to say like that emotional up and down. Okay. So you're ready for something new. You're ready for whatever it is. You feel like you don't know what to expect, but either way, you know that status quo is not working for you anymore. You need a change of scenery. You need something new. And so those two snow globes, okay, and the whole concept with snow, it just feels to me like, like whenever I look at snow globes, I get a little bit sad, because I feel like that universe inside the snow globe, it's so insulated, it's so singular, it's so like disconnected from one another. So I feel like, you have a cartoony world here, and then you have like a more like Renaissance, type of a world, and those worlds don't connect. Okay, so I feel like you have been existing in a situation where you might lack that emotional connection with other people. You might not feel emotionally connected to others the way that you want, whether it be people in a job, whether it be your relationship partner, or the people around you, even the children. So I feel like there's an emotional dissatisfaction. There's an emotional disconnect. And I feel like you're on your path to finding something new that will kind of like fill in that void. And you're starting on your journey to figure out what exactly it is. I do feel there's a huge relationship vibe coming in this spread for many of you. And I'm sensing like, a situation where some of you might be attached. You might be attached to one person that you feel is your soulmate. And the relationship is stable, and it's very solid. It's very pragmatic as well. And there's a lot of things here that is wound up in moral duties and obligation. And then there's another situation that's promising something brand new, even a new love offer that's coming in. And I feel like you're in a position where you might need to make a choice here about how to proceed forward, how to divide up assets, how to financially, emotionally, and physically extract yourself from a situation that's no longer serving you, so that you can move on to something else that speaks more to your heart chakra.